say when. Oh, I think we might be live. So I might take over. Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah, lots of nodding heads, so that's great. Thank you, everyone, for joining us all, and I'm really grateful and happy to be helping host this with lots of friends and colleagues and fellow travellers that we've come across in the past. We're all here to explore what a Black-led community space in Brixton could mean for future generations, as in the tagline, reimagining a Black-led community space in Brixton. And hopefully to kind of, from conversations, to figure out what imagination and determination and follow through could look like and ultimately mean as an outcome. All of us often have visions of, we go into spaces and we talk imaginatively about what we hope to see, and we have visions of what we hope to see. And sometimes it's difficult to capture that easily. And sometimes it's useful to be able to do that so that we can strengthen those ideas and get other people to input into the process and bring people along with us. I see many eminent names on the list of speakers and panelists. So please forgive me if I get a little bit intimidated. But I'll just introduce myself a little bit. My name is David Ogunmuyiwa. I'm an architect. I was born in Lambeth, and I grew up down the road in Southwark. I'm a former Lambeth housing officer, strangely. So I used to be a housing manager on the Loughborough estate down the road, but then I retrained as an architect. And my first job in practice 21 years ago as an architect was on the Angeltown estate regeneration. So I've got a very kind of intimate relationship with Lambeth and Brixton in particular. And obviously, as a person of colour, as a Black person, Brixton has a very specific and particular meaning wherever I am in the world. And I mean that honestly. I've lived and worked on 3 separate continents, like many people here who have travelled a lot around the world. London, the world is enthralled to London. The world loves the idea of London, and part of that idea of what makes up London is its diversity, and definitely a linchpin of that is Brixton. So, the idea of Brixton, the idea of a Black-led space, of a Black-led community, is actually an international one in London, and I hope we can all reflect that. Part of the idea here is to reflect back on some of the discussions that have been had in the past. So there was a wonderful document that was developed by Ubele a few years ago in 2015 called A Place to Call Home. And in that, it made a really striking point that I found. I'm just going to quote directly from it. And it said, "It is clear that difficulties and insecurities facing many BAME-led organisations trying to safeguard community assets is not due to lack of ambition, interest, or demand for services. Indeed, there is evidence of increasing demand for services, especially in relation to meeting the needs of an ageing population." And I think what that was flagging up to me was some other things that were pointed out in that report, that there's an opportunity to deliver important services such as supporting the elderly, providing youth services, and BAME-led support organisations to fill the gap of generic services that don't adequately meet the needs of people of colour. This is our challenge, to imagine these places, to figure out and to reflect these particular challenges that people of colour and I'm afraid Black people suffer and continue to deal with as a kind of daily challenge that's underlying to our daily lives that other people have. And also to acknowledge the kind of the opportunities and the benefits and the strengths that Black people and people of colour provide in the community and provide into London, that's reflected beyond us. When that comes to music or sport or art or many other fields, people recognize these things in a kind of immediate, intuitive way. Yet that's not really always reflected in our systems. So hopefully we can talk about a place where we can develop. One of the things I want to think about here is a kind of place where we can think about a community of interests, a place to call home again, a place without judgment, and a place where we can learn and share. amongst ourselves. I don't want to kind of go on too long with that, so I'm going to kind of now hand over to the first panel, which is going to be made up of Dawn Hill, CBE, who you can see there, chair of the Black Cultural Archives, the wonderful Black Cultural Archives, Daniel Baden, director of Design and Civic, Director of Design, Civic Square, Birmingham, Angel Coletta, trustee of Manchester Congolese Organization, and Lord Simon Woolley, director of Operation Black Vote. Yeah, that's quite a formidable list. I hope I have done them some justice with the introduction. I wonder if you'd all be able to switch your mics on so that we can hear what you have to say. Oh, I think I may have gone directly into that and skipped over the first panel, who are the council officers. So if you would excuse me and just switch your mics back off. I appear to have made the schoolboy error of just going straight into those. I'm going to actually hand over to Councillor Jack Hopkin and Councillor Sonia Winifred and Jackie Dyer to introduce themselves, if I may.
Hi there, thank you, David, and I'm sure actually everyone was breathing a sigh of relief as you passed over the politicians. So I'll be really quick. My name is Jack Hopkins. I'm the leader of Lambeth Council. I'm really excited tonight to be here, and I want to thank Ubele and Yvonne and others for putting this together. I think COVID has really shown us that kind of spaces and places are even more valuable and even more at a premium than we thought before, and certainly in a borough like Lambeth. We've known that there is an inequitable and unfair allocation of spaces. And I think it's part of the commitment that this council has to protect spaces for communities of interest, that this didn't then get turned over for just flats. You know, we've got challenges about housing. We could have built some flats, but we didn't. We decided, no, this has this building in particular has a long history. The place in Cold Harbour Lane that it occupies is really at the heart of the African Caribbean community for a long time, and I've been going there for about 10 years, where you hear stories of what people who came from the Windrush generation and struggled with to get housing, and then having to set up housing co-ops, and how the system was really stacked against people of colour and the African Caribbean community at that time. And protecting those spaces is absolutely at the heart of what we're trying to do as a political administration, and that was a political choice. And it's not surprising, given the diversity of our politicians and our communities, that we made that choice. Of course, we do this also with things like the Royal Vauxhall Tavern in Vauxhall, historic place for the LGBT plus community that was at threat of development as well. So we've got a track record here. I think having spaces that are responsive to particular concerns and for particular communities are really important. And David, as you said, and I'm not going to try and be as eloquent as you are to outline some of the challenges, a cookie cutter mold that's based on institutions that are structurally racist just don't get it. So we are doing everything that we can in order to challenge some of those behaviours and those ingrained unconscious biases, so that we can make that difference. And this building has been through a lifetime, and there are others who are going to talk about some of the history, so I won't go through it. I'm really excited about what the future holds for this building. So I think what a fantastic panel we've got, what an amazing group of people, and I think through our kind of collective endeavour, passion and commitment, we're going to make this an absolutely iconic space. Dawn's here from the Black Cultural Archives, another building that celebrates our history that we're really proud of, but that also has a future. And you know, we've got to learn from our history, but not be bound by it, and we've got to take it forward, remember the lessons, and make sure we don't repeat mistakes. And I think this, right at the heart of the Brixton and the African Caribbean community, but the Black community in Loughborough Junction, Angel Town, is absolutely crucial for us. So we're really excited. Let's see what people have got, and let's do something really amazing and truly kind of outstanding and world beating, but not in a Boris Johnson world beating. I mean a genuine world beating sense. Am I allowed to be political? I just did. Sorry. I'll hand over to Jackie.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody. Very glad to be here this evening. My name's Councillor Jackie Dyer. can't really say much more than what Jack said, because I think that he's presented as political leadership our thoughts and our commitment to providing spaces for all our diverse communities, particularly for our Black communities who have a long history within Lambeth. So I'm really happy to be supporting this event and look forward to see what we can bring forward in terms of the refurbishment of the building, which is the predominant first issue on the agenda, and then look at where we go from there. So happy to be here. I'm all ears, and I won't take up any more space because I need to be listening. Thank you.
Thanks. I think Winifred is on the call, but I think she's having some trouble being seen, but I'm not sure. Can you hear us, Winifred? Wonder if you'd like to say a few words. No, I think maybe she's struggling now. Perhaps we can get her to say a few words at another point. I am now going to move on to the first panel, unless I see any notes telling me not to imminently. No, too late. Okay, so if we can go to Dawn Hill CBE, the eminent Dawn Hill, Daniel Biden, Angel Coletta, and Lord Simon Woolley. If you could now switch on your microphones, that would be really helpful. And I wonder if I could ask you, Dawn, to start with some reflections on the Lloyd Leon Community Centre, past, present, and future.
Okay, right. I thought I was on the second panel, but here we go. Hello, everybody. I'm Dawn Hill, current chair of Black Cultural Archives, and I've been in that role since 2012 as the chair. But in fact, I've been working with the Black Cultural Archives for nearly 40 years of its existence. So when I was asked to speak, I thought, well, if this this new center has to be developed and to get somewhere, and they're being funded by the council, perhaps the Black Cultural Archives is an example of an organization that's been right through it and has come out the other end. So here we go. Are you hearing me all right, people?
I am hearing you all right. I am hearing you right.
Black Cultural Archives, the home of Black British history and culture in the UK. My background, I'm a former state registered nurse, SRA. I changed careers and qualified in social policy and administration and personnel management from the London School of Economics. I'm a chartered member of the Chartered Institute of Personnel and Development. I thank Ubele for inviting me to share my experience of volunteering in a Black-led community organization. As I've said, I worked with Black Cultural Archives for nearly 40 years. I have read Ubele's 2015 report, amazing report. I have to say, A Place Called Home. I thought I had to do some homework, you see, before I did this, which mapped Black-led centres across the UK and reported on how many had disappeared and the reasons for their demise, relating mainly to governance and a lack of strategy for their sustainability. Their key recommendation was a new, more suitable model of development support to be put in place to sustain community-based organizations. It is my wish that the volunteers who are working with the Centre will embrace all the opportunities they are being offered with the Ability Support Development package of mentoring, coaching, and best practice modeling towards sustainability. It is a recommendation that the Lloyd Leon Community Centre, previously known as the Dominoes Club, and from which the Brixton Soup Kitchen operates, that a transformational change process is required for a new centre to become an exciting, vibrant, and creative community-based facility fit for the 21st century, and that it will sustain a new generation of Lambeth residents. This aim also fits in with Lambeth Council's community facilities plans and who has invested in this centre. My experience of 40 years, it's a lifetime, volunteering my professional expertise with BCA is difficult for me to summarize in a few minutes. However, here is a brief synopsis. I came to help Len Garrison, founder of BCA, in 1980s to promote Black British classical musicians. That first meeting was in a space in an industrial estate at Loughborough Junction in Brixton. There was one member of staff who, it seemed, did whatever was required. Len wanted to put on concerts at the South Bank, so I took over this project because I knew how to do concerts, and we successfully did just that. These musicians were all at the beginning of their careers, and today I am proud to say many are now prominent and make headline news in this country and beyond. They're literally on the television all the time. And some of you may know them. She's now Professor Shirley Thompson. There's Clement Ishmael, who's working with Disney for years. Erwin Wallen. These names are all famous names, South Bank Festival Hall names. So we're very proud that we gave them their first concert. Quite soon, I was being asked to advise on how the organization was being run and difficulties with administration and so on. I decided to take great interest in these matters as I had the experience of dealing with such matters in my day job. So I gave assistance and advice to the one staff member. I also had a genuine belief that Len's mission on preserving Black history and culture, promoting and teaching of Black history, and the aim to establish an archive and museum was worth spending my time on. Throughout the years, I've made sure organization and management matters were given important attention. There were other amazing volunteers, historians, creatives, artists, family members who aligned themselves with Len's mission and have contributed to its growth and success. We have had the opportunity of professional advice from consultants and from many others, and with funding from Lambeth Council over the years. I can say it's been very hard work most of the time with endless difficulties. Despite this, staff and trustees have remained focused on what the Black Cultural Archive represents and at times worked beyond the call of duty. I was nominated to the chair post in 2012. Fast forward to 2014, when BCA opened at our iconic One Windrush Square, made possible with funding from the Heritage Lottery Fund, Lambeth Council, Greater London Assembly, and other funders. 3,000 people filled Windrush Square to welcome this unique heritage organization. I'm so proud of its achievements, which is growing daily. Since opening, we have welcomed over 150,000 visitors, held over 10 exhibitions, and led more than 1,000 educational visits. Relationships with our different stakeholders and with the heritage sector has grown. We have a voice in the political issues affecting the Black community. Our archives hold the very essence of what BCA stands for. There have been great events, and I have met amazing people, and I've learned a lot about Black history. We are now in 2020 and at the next stage of development and towards her sustainability. With our new managing director, she's been in post only 1 year, and our new board of trustees, this year we'll also have a new chairperson this year. So I'm going. Our 10-year strategy has been out for public consultation and our support is growing. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic closures, BCA has punched its way with vibrant digital events and an exciting program lined up for the next 3 months. In closing, I have a mantra. Keeping on, and rely on being confident and competent. Be professional in all dealings and be nice to everyone. I've explained my sort of, how I feel about a Black organization coming through all the problems that we've faced, and there have been many, to where we are now and where we're going, which is brilliant. So it's really to see that this community centre, which has really had no reputation apart from knowing that people, Jamaican men particularly, were playing dominoes at that centre in Brixton. So it'd be interesting to see how the development will go. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn, so much for that perspective. And I'm going to take your advice and be more professional and find correct order. I apologize for putting you up first than you wanted to, but I think just hearing you speak was really kind of gave a deeper perspective of Lloyd Leon Centre and the difficulties of Black-led organisations face and challenges, but also how they overcome them. At the end, I be moved by hearing about people that have gone on to do great things. We are also, that gives us a bit of time to invite Winifred in, if you'd like to say a few words at this point. She's still there, I can see her.
Yes, I am. Hello, good evening, everyone. So, and just sorry, I don't mean to correct you. Dawn's probably done it already. But it's Sonia. The name is Sonia. Winifred's my surname. That's all right. That's fine. It's done all the time. It's a mistake. So thank you for the invitation to be here this evening. I am really pleased to be here, as Dawn's been outlining her past. I too have a past, a very long history in Lambeth since 1965, when I first arrived here, and I've lived in Lambeth ever since and volunteered in various organisations, the Brixton riots, the changes that's occurred in Brixton. I worked as a librarian in all our Lambeth libraries for over 20 years, and it's significant now that I am the cabinet member for Equalities and Culture with responsibility for life. That wasn't me, was it? With responsibility for library. So I'm particularly pleased to be here too, discussing the Lloyd Leon Centre, formerly known as the Brixton Dominoes Club, home for the Brixton Immortals. I've worked with the users, the men, as Dawn, the older men. Dawn, there's women as well. Women play heck of a game of dominoes there as well. They are a formidable group. We've been working with them for many, many years now. Lloyd Leon, I know, the first Black mayor of Lambeth, and he is now in his 80s and just out of hospital a few months ago on the early stages of Alzheimer's, but still very, very as alert as can be. So I'm in touch with him every day. So I think it's important to have this conversation around the centre, and certainly during this pandemic, we know the outcome of this and how so many of the older people in our communities have been suffering the isolation. And it's interesting that we are discussing this because most of my conversations have been around the users of that particular club who are now feeling totally isolated because of COVID. And we've lost at least 4 of them because they're older people. And it's that the importance of having a community space, a social place where people can come together, like-minded people can come together and survive. So I'm aware of the building, the situation around the building. So I'm very, very aware that we do need a community space for our communities to come together and, as I say, thrive, survive. So yeah, that's really it for now. And here to listen to comments, suggestions, whatever is happening here. I'm here to listen and to go back to the council and work with it. But I feel it's collectively, it's how we move forward together. That's the important thing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sonia, and thank you for that perspective. I'm now going to come to Billy Ellis from the Lloyd Leon Community Centre, Brixton Dominoes Club Director. If you're able to unmute.
Good, yes. Can you hear me?
That's fantastic. I'll just hand it to
you. Yeah, can you hear me, yeah?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear us? Good. Yeah, we can hear you well.
Yes,
yeah.
Loud and clear. Good evening to you all. I'm not sure if you're hearing me. It's good evening to everyone.
Oh, good evening. Everybody's on mute, Billy.
Okay, okay, all right. Yeah. Thanks. Yes, listen, thank you very much for having me speaking. Before I say what I'm going to say about the club, I would ask for each and everyone to acknowledge Mr. Lloyd Leon, Mr. Alfred Blair, Mr. Wesley Demacarda, those, and Mr. George Palmer, I must not forget. Those are 4 of the original cornerstone. Those were the 4 people who actually walked the length of Lambeth to seek a clubhouse for us. So I just want everyone to please acknowledge those names. My understanding, I myself is with the organization for about 41 years now. And when I joined Brixton in 1982, I was intrigued by what I found. I'm an ex-cricketer who played cricket for 16 years without stop. And then when I stopped playing cricket, I wanted another sport. And so I was introduced to the Brixton Sports and Social Club, as it was called then. So the club was started in 1975 at Mr. Hewlett's house. Then we move on to Miss Cathy's restaurant in Landor Road in Brixton. We used to have a gentleman called Babu. He was an entrepreneur. He tries to organize domino matches all over England. He chose all the best players, of which the then new Brixton team had some of the best, the brilliant people who plays the game, like Mr. Wesley Demacarda. He's still acknowledged as one of the all-time greats. Then when Mr. Lloyd Leon became mayor, that little setup no longer suited because Mr. Babu wanted to make money, but we wanted a club. And so half of the people went one way and half went the other way. The half that went our way became the Brixton Sports and Social Club, which we then decided we wanted more than just playing dominoes. We became a family unit. Every Sunday, without fail, 3 p.m. until 10 p.m. all ladies and children and fathers and grannies gathered together at Brixton Sports and Social Club. It was the place to be if you did not want to be a person who's going to raves all over England, yeah? We then had a lot, we became famous for people when we have funerals, because when I came to England in 1965, we had our night in our living room, and we had our afters in our living room. But as we progress and children having children, we had nowhere at all to go. So the Brixton Sports and Social Club became a hub. It's something that Lambeth didn't even recognize. So we had also, during this period, we had some antisocial business take place where, you know, the police and Lambeth, as if they didn't understand what was going on. But Mr. Lloyd Leon, I heard the lady spoke, Mr. Don Hill spoke about Mr. Leon. Mr. Leon is a wonderful person. I'm the person who is responsible for changing the club from Brixton Sports and Social Club to the Lloyd Leon Community Centre. Mr. Solomon Smith can bear witness to this, because we think that Mr. Leon has done the job that he has done. I know he has been knighted for it, but I'm not sure if the Black people of Lambeth, or in general in England, understood the work that Mr. Lloyd Leon has done for not for himself, for all of us as Black people living in London. Now, one of the questions that was asked is an ongoing question. What would someone like me want to see Brixton Sports and Social Club became or becomes, yeah? Whilst Mr. Leon and myself were going to and from meetings with the police and Lambeth Council, during the period Mr. Obama was president and visited London, and Mr. Leon's question was, why can't we have our Brixton Sports and Social Club well decorated and running in the manner where we could invite first Black president of the United States to come and visit us? And so for me, that is the vision. Each and everyone can take it from there, because that is not my vision alone. That has been the vision of all the founder members of the Brixton Sports and Social Club. And for me personally, I've fought in the last 14 years, I've fought people hold me up with guns. People do all type of things to me in Lambeth, outside the club, inside the club. And I fought until we reached the situation that we have people like Solomon Smith, who I'm praying and hoping that more people will join Solomon Smith. And I want to thank Ubele Initiative for the help that they've proposed in my presence at the meeting in Lambeth. Because here I am, my prayer seems to be getting answered, where I can now retire from the everyday fighting to keep the club alive and to keep the activities going. And I'm hoping that before long, I can sit down and just, along with Mr. Wesley and Mr. Alfred Blair, we can see the fruits of the people who fought to get Brixton Sports and Social Club up and running and going in the right direction. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Billy. And I was struck by you mentioning the original cornerstones and all of the people whose shoulders we all stand on to kind of continue that message, like yourself as well. And another of those I'm going to go to now, which is Solomon Smith, if you wouldn't mind.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi,
How
you guys doing?
Good, thank you.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, loud and clear.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, no, it was just I was just driving and and talking, just doing a bit of craziness at the moment. But yeah, now, firstly, I just want to quickly introduce myself. My name is Solomon Smith, and I am the founder of a homeless charity called Brixton Soup Kitchen.
Solomon, can you hear us?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, you're breaking up a bit. You're breaking up a bit there. Can you still hear us? Can you still hear us? Solomon, I'm just going to ask you to take a moment. If I just invite Yvonne in next, if that's okay, and then if you join us when your signal's a bit more stable.
Could you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now, and it might help to switch off the camera. If you switch off the camera, then maybe it's a bandwidth thing.
Did you hear me, guys?
Yeah, I can hear still hear you. Oh, you seem to have switched off the microphone. This is the joys of Zoom that we're all getting used to. But I think you need to switch on the microphone, but leave the camera switched off.
Could you hear me now?
I can hear you. It's a bit strange, but it's a bit strange. You might have to park up somewhere, Solomon.
All right, if you can just go to Yvonne and then come back to me. I'm gonna go find somewhere stronger.
If that's okay. Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yvonne, are you ready to take over?
Hi. Okay. Can you hear me?
Very clearly. Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm really delighted to be here. And I'm just so pleased that we've got a really great number of people listening in, and as David said, some brilliant speakers that could really help shape this conversation this evening. So thank you all for being here. I just want to say a little bit about how we got involved in supporting the development of LLCC, as we call it, and just a bit about what we've been doing there. And then also what we're going to be doing in the future in order to help bring this centre, for the next generation. As Billy says, he hopes better sit down and, sort of really observe and admire the fruits of his labour, because 41 years supporting a community and a community space and a community organisation is it's nearly 2 generations actually. So I commend Billy and the gentlemen and women that you've mentioned, and as was mentioned by Councillor Sonia Winifred, the women who are there in the Dominoes Club. I think there are 30 odd women who play dominoes, and they are mean players from what I've been hearing and seeing. So a few people this evening already mentioned a place to call home. And, COVID has shifted Ubele's position, as many people might know, over the last 6 months. But actually, our journey is a 10-year journey. And when we started having conversations, we started hearing from the community bottom up that we were losing community spaces. We were also losing leaders, community leaders. And so we, bit by bit, shaped a mission for Ubele to actually support community asset development, community wealth building, actually. People and spaces are the things that we actually set ourselves up to try and develop. And so on the back of the report, A Place to Call Home, which was produced in 2015, we were asked by Lambeth Council and colleagues in Brixton to get involved in trying to support Lloyd Leon Community Centre and to shape it so that it became sustainable for the future. We started that journey actually in May 2018, and we've been working in 2 phases. This is now phase 2. In the first phase, which was really a year between May 2018 and June 2019, we did a range of things. We did work with the governing body to try and support it and strengthen it. We produced consultation. We went out and spoke to about 70 people in terms of what they thought the future of the centre might look like, what was needed. And we did work around business planning to sort of put certain milestones in place at that point. We stayed engaged with the organisation between June last year and February this year. And then in February this year, the council asked us, and also the management of LLC asked us to really kind of try and step forward and to support the organisation more from sort of taking a front leadership position, but to hold the organisation with the key stakeholders and actually to see how we can really not just redesign the building, but also develop new governance and also introduce new services into the space. And so we are on that journey. Tonight is very much part of that journey. The plan is that for over next year, we're going to develop a strategy group. And that strategy group will have little subgroups, one around the built environment, one around governance, and one around services, so that we can really focus on what could happen there, so that the Lloyd Leon Community Centre has, as I said, a new lease of life for the next, hopefully 100 years, not just 50 years or 40 years. In this second phase, obviously it's been interrupted by COVID, because we started in February and then COVID hit in March. But although the centre closed, and at the moment it is still closed, and we were just about to reopen it, and then of course the government's introduced 6 people only to gather, which has been a real issue. However, one of the things we've been able to do under COVID is to develop, to get some funding in, so the dominoes actually can be played on portals by 3 different dominoes clubs. So actually it's become an online initiative, and so dominoes is still being played. Brixton Soup Kitchen, which is the other key partner at the centre, as you know, has also been continued to deliver food parcels all around Lambeth over the past 6 months. So as I'm saying, the work has not ended or stopped. It's just been redirected in a slightly different way. We also, after lockdown happened, we also did some more community consultation. We actually spoke to 100 different people about what they thought could happen at the centre. 2 big themes came up from that consultation, and that was around facilities for young people, and also a space to actually have our funerals and wakes and gatherings, because it felt that we needed that kind of space in Brixton still, which we absolutely support. Just a couple other things that have been happening. You know, the building is a grade 2 listed building. It's actually got a conservation order on it. So the council's commissioned a conservationist who has looked at the building to say what needs to be kept and what actually can be changed, because we can't just, you know, knock it down or knock all the walls out and take all the features. We have to be really mindful that it is a grade 2 listed building. And there are some emergency repairs that need to be done now, and those have been scoped. But because it's a grade 2 listed building, it needs to make sure that whatever works is done, even on an emergency basis, actually honours the fact that it is a grade 2 listed building. So those things have been happening. We've developed a website, we've developed a newsletter, we've got a project board, and we've been having weekly conversations. Even on Saturday, we were in Brixton, myself, my colleagues, Michael and Carl, were meeting with the Brixton Immortals and meeting with the Soup Kitchen to talk about what needs to happen going forward. So I'm just giving you a taste of what has been happening with the centre. And this, you know, we're on a journey with the Soup Kitchen, with the Immortals. There are other services there as well, for sure. And we're on a journey with them. And we really feel very humbled and honoured to be involved in the redevelopment of this iconic site, because it really is. If we can get this right in Brixton, then actually, because we know there's lots of spaces all around the country, black-led spaces that need a new lease of life, if we can do it in Brixton and really have it a beacon, then it could be a model for the rest of the country. Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne, and thank you for sharing that kind of strategic leadership on how to do this. Solomon.
Hello, could everyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Sound better?
Yeah, much better, thank you.
Yes. Yes, guys. Hello, guys. My name is Solomon Smith. I am the founder of a homeless charity called Brixton Soup Kitchen. So given a bit of a journey for us is I decided that, you know, well, me just kind of, you know, walking around using my one-day pass. When one-day bus pass used to cost £1, I used to utilize my £1 by making sure I'm going to different areas, you know, Peckham, North, East, South, West, to realize that homelessness was not just in Brixton, homelessness was everywhere. And one of the main things that I wanted to do was I always, so for me, my background is working for Lambeth Youth Service as a youth worker. So I worked for Lambeth Youth Service for 16 years. And one of the things I despised working for Lambeth was that if a young person was from Southwark, he was not allowed to use or even come on the trips. So I said, for me, if I ever was to set up a organization of myself, it would have to be if anyone is struggling, anyone could use my service. It doesn't care about your race, religion, postcode. To us, we're totally blind to that. And that is one of the unique standing points for Brixton Soup Kitchen. So even though we're called Brixton Soup Kitchen, we don't just cater people in Brixton, we cater for everyone who needs a service. Now, one of the things that we wanted to do as well is how could we have 1,000 services in one building? Now, again, when I was younger, if I needed help with CVs, I had to go to Connections. If I needed help with housing, I had to go to housing. If I needed help with maybe certificates, things like that, there was different places where I had to walk to. So one of the main things what I wanted to do is how could I create all these services all in one building? So we've got a food bank, we've got a clothes bank, we've also we do mentoring, we've also got mental health workers, mental health nurse, we have physio, so we got people coming down giving free physio, we provide food packs, hand sanitizers, face masks, and from all these amazing services what you're hearing, we don't get no government support whatsoever. However, one of the main things what I didn't want to do is I didn't want to complain because we're not funded, is for a service not to happen. So I wanted to show and prove that I could create a service and feed people and give a service where needed without any funding. Not saying that we don't want funding, because funding is absolutely amazing. I didn't want to wait for the funding, what might never happen, and I don't think we'll be where we are now. So when I decided to do this, I was working very closely with one of our patrons called Tessa Jow, who sadly passed away. And at the same time, we was working with Derek Anderson. So Derek Anderson was the CEO of the time of Lambeth. And he said to us that, we said to him that we needed a new building. And, because the building we have now, we're having a lot of people come in, a lot of donations. And the building that we had, what was in Southwick House, was a bit small. And that's when he said, you guys might want to go into the Domino Club. Now, we always looked at the Domino Club. For me, I'm dyslexic, so I used to go to the Domino Club for the Saturday school to help with kind of learning, reading, etc. And when he suggested the Domino Club, it was amazing because we literally saw Billy. He was on the tree, if Billy can remember, he was on the tree. And we just said to Billy, we want to run a service in your kitchen providing hot meals to the homeless. And Billy was like, Solomon, this sounds amazing. Let's do it. But then Billy didn't know that we already spoken to Derek, who Derek Anderson said that, we want you guys to kind of go in there. And one of the propositions, what Derek said, is if the Brixton Soup Kitchen was to go into the Domino Club, then, we can get funding to fix the roof and to fix the electrics, etc. However, because of the nature of my work, working for Lambeth, I'm not beating down Lambeth, but because of the work I'm used to having lovely promises and it never going to fruition. So from the day that we've been in the Domino Club, that's from like 2014 to present, we've not really had any work done at the Domino Club. but we move. So I think at the time we was kind of complaining, saying what's going on, and then we had phase one with an organization who was helping us, you know, remodel the building. You know, we was having meetings every Thursday. This whole thing went on for about 2 years, till last minute when it was meant to be going off. Nothing never happened, and then the same thing happened again for another 6 months. Never happened again. So we was very, so when we met with Ubele, we was a bit, you know, thinking, you know, are there going to be like another organization who's going to come over, you know, spend Lambeth's money, and we're literally going to be in the same predicament that we're already in. And it's been quite good, you know, for the movement of what's happening, even though the building's still in tatters. But, you know, there is literally, there is kind of been some movement. And for us, you know, especially through COVID, we're a bit of rebels. So we literally couldn't stay in. You know, we just felt that, you know, there was a service that still needed to happen. And we literally, you know, using the guidelines, you know, with gloves, we literally was still providing, instead of having people coming into the centre, we literally was providing services, making food packs, going to where they are. We've now got a staff team of about 15 volunteers driving around London. We've got over 260 families on our books where we deliver food packs to every week. We get some donations through our GoFundMe page. A couple trusts reached out to us and give us a little donation here and there. But yeah, again, bringing it back to the Domino Club, our main thing is we just hope that we could you know, make it back to a nice, feasible centre, you know, especially for the domino clubs. You know, my vision, like what I've always said, I just wanted it to be, you know, nice for like office spaces, rentals. So, you know, one of the main things that I've learned from Lambeth is not about fixing a building, but what could we do as a community and a community entity in the building to create income ourselves. You know, we didn't want to just always take, but we wanted to know how could we get support from Lambeth, and then we can, you know, come back in 5 years and say, guys, this is what we've done. This is what we was able to achieve. So again, yeah, man, I just hope that, you know, people in the room could, you know, hear our cries and just literally, you know, try and make things happen. That's me, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Again, inspirational leadership. I think you're very modest in what you've said, but both what you said, what Billy has said, and what Yvonne has have said have just kind of shown what the Lloyd Leon Community Centre means now, what it provides, the difference it makes to people's lives now as we speak. And hopefully that can help us frame the second half. Thank you for being patient with me for the first half of the discussion. If we take a 10-minute break now and come back up, I'd say, I'm going to say 35 past, because it's just about 25 past now. So if we come back at 25 past and take a 35 past, sorry, and take a 10-minute break, and I'll see you all on the other side.
Hi, Yvonne, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi, how you doing?
I'm good. Another long day, eh? But this is a great meeting.
No, thank you. I mean, it is a long day. It's yeah, I'm feeling very tired, but you know.
It's worth it.
No, it really is. Sorry, my colleague's calling me. Just 1 minute.
Go on, okay. I'll call you, speak to you later.
think we're still waiting for a few people.
It's taking long as well. So I need to see.
I think we're just still hanging on for a couple more people. When we get back, I'll hand over to Daniel. So if you could be ready.
Host, you've taken me off this video.
Oh, is this Lord Woolley?
Yes.
I'm going to try and get somebody.
You cannot start your video because the host has stopped it.
Okay, let's see if it's it. Let me just look into that. It wasn't me, but I will look into it.
Maybe I should go out and come back in.
Possibly, but let me just see if one of the other hosts can get you back on.
Okay.
I wonder if Aisha or Fatima can help us with that.
Simon, please stay in. I will get Tracy to put on your video.
Okay.
Thank you so much for that. I'm going to move ahead now because obviously it's very late and everyone's been very generous with their time this evening. So I'm going to come to Daniel Biden, who is going to share with us the experience of other Black-led community spaces as Director of Design at Civic Square in Birmingham. Daniel, nice to meet you.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I hear you really well.
Great. Yeah, thanks for having me. I was asked to come and share a little bit about, I guess, our journey with Civic Square in Birmingham. So we are in the process of creating a new space in Birmingham. We're exploring the future of the public square. What is the public square for the 21st century? And then this is on the back of a history of like 7 years of work, which was all around Impact Hub Birmingham. Many of you, I don't know if any of you heard of it, but that's really where we're coming from. It was Impact Hub Birmingham was a space that gathered lots of change makers and community people in the city who wanted to see a change and wanted to share and share the space over five years basically. And this space was looking at how we shift certain systems and look at how we could create a more just, more equal city. It was led by a variety of different people from different backgrounds. Imi Kaur, who's the lead kind of entrepreneur, and I kind of joined the journey quite early on actually, and became part of the team around 2017. And like, I guess some of the key things that I think I wanted to maybe share to this conversation is maybe how myself as a young black man came into starting to take up a position as like the lead designer in an organization like that, and what that has meant for how the organization started to work and become more, I guess, people being able to see themselves as part of that community and to build from there. So I myself joined this organization because they were so open. They were so open and generous in the use of the facilities, use of the space, and really sincerely searching for, looking at how they could make a change in a lot of these areas that are really difficult in terms of the system. And I think this is a running trend in terms of like creatives, particularly from the Black community in Birmingham, actually accessing space and space being available and actually designing their business models around making certain things available to some communities. They were able to do that through certain things of how they designed the organisation. So we had this thing, just as one example, was open project night, where on a Monday night, the doors were open to anyone who had an idea or just wanted to use the space, the facilities, which was like a really kind of high spec creative space where it was co-working generally during the day, but also could be used for events and gatherings of all kinds. And open project night was the point in the week where it was open for people to come and use. And I organized a few things from using that space, and then found out that the work that I wanted to do really aligned with the organization in terms of Impact Hub and what they were trying to achieve. And so I just wanted to share that as one example of a thing that helped myself find my feet within this sort of community. And that was really enabled by some thinking around the models that made that space sustainable longer term. And then, as I say, I kind of joined the team, and we found that the space that we were based in Birmingham City Centre was an area of the city that was no longer going to be affordable for this community in terms of the trajectory in which this development happening in the city. And we knew this quite early on and started to think about what the future of this work would be. And we came to the conclusion that Impact Hub as the model wasn't necessarily the right one for us. And so we started talking to some developers who were working on the idea of the 21st century, a neighborhood for the 21st century. Their housing development that they were putting out there as forward thinking in terms of how people want to live in the 21st century. And within that vision, they were talking about a lot of the things that we know make really great places. So making sure there's lots of green space, thinking about the cultural offer around that space, and wanting the kids to be able to play out. And these were trends and things that we were really exploring through Impact Hub. So we started to have a conversation with them about taking over a particular building, but the area in which this development is happening, it's quite close to the city centre, but it's obviously the value of the housing that's being put there is much higher than what already exists, and there's lots of well, it's definitely going to be pushing people out, basically. And so in terms of Civic Square and how we've been working towards looking at the space longer term is to create a deal that allows us to have the space long term on a very low rent, and then have the option to buy later down the line, so that we're building the sustainability and actually the asset is put into some kind of community ownership model of some sort. So then that means that we can work very differently in terms of making that space accessible. And we're at the very beginning of that journey, and we started to explore ways that we can make the concept of the public square and of this space, the civic square, really accessible to people from lots of different backgrounds. And so there's a variety of different ways that we've been doing that in the way we are bringing people together. And it's building on that legacy of the work that we've done with Impact Hub. And so I think that the main thing that I wanted to maybe share as a sort of reflection is like how how I'm not sure of the full context of the community centre, because obviously I've come into this conversation a bit late. I'm sorry for that, but just in terms of like how are you building in that sort of openness from the beginning, from when you receive people, and how that is something that's embedded into the values of the place, and that goes right through to how the business model operates to make that sort of sustainable, because that's one of the key things I think that helped me feel like I could move into a position of leadership with this venture with Civic Square. And I'm also open for anyone to ask me any questions of more specifics around any of these things if you want to message me, because I know I don't want to take up a lot of time because there's other panelists and so forth. But that's just a little snippet of the story, really. So I hope that's useful and helpful.
Thank you so much, Daniel. What I just took from everything you said, as well as all the detail, is just like generosity and openness and access, and how those need to be part of the whole narrative, and it's part of the kind of DNA of what's going to happen next with the Lloyd Leon Community Centre and various other establishments like this, because for me that's what it is about, community wealth and community asset building. I'm going to come on to Angel in a moment, but can I just invite anybody who would like to ask any questions in the chat section, so that we can put it to panelists as we go through as well. Angel, can I invite you to share your experiences? Hello, hi.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, my name is Angel Kaleta. I work for MACO, the Manchester Congolese organization, for about 11 years now. I'm one of the co-founder and a trustee for all these years, playing different roles. And when we started, we didn't even have enough resources to even rent a place. And we had the Manchester Refugee Support Network that used to help us with their free space for the youth activities we had and other health workshops we used to hold. So with time, it became quite an issue, running from one place to another. So the journey of getting what we should call Black-led community space started in 2014, when we first approached our local council, Manchester City Council, for an asset transfer. But that journey has been really very, very long. And the good thing is that from last year, June, that's when we started signing up the first papers, and we're supposed to have concluded this around March, April. So with the COVID coming in, the crisis, so everything just slowed down again. And all the plans we had to do some refurbishment work, and we're not really going to do much, although the center was not used for over 3 years. We thought we could just find some funding and do a few repairs and decoration and start using the place as is, since most of our services are face-to-face, and we are dealing with very vulnerable people such as asylum seekers, refugees, and the older people. And also we look after a good number of youth. So with the pandemic, so we first of all just had to suspend everything, because that were the restrictions, and most of the refurbishment works that had started also had slowed down. And even though some still took place during that time, but it was quite difficult to continue. So however, we at least managed to do some COVID response kind of work in order to attend to those families that had food shortages, and we were at least using the center to receive some food donations, and we got a bit of funding as well to try and prepare like food parcels. And we had a team of 14 volunteers going around. At this point, we're going around Manchester to the members of our community that we had already on the list. And also some referrals came from those members, and we were able to do that during the restrictions. So when now it started easing off, we now realize that many of our services need now to really adapt to the current situation. And also we have to think of post-COVID so that we can better support the people within our community. So what we are focusing on now is to try and adapt the hub and its layout in order to continue providing services, but in a way that respects the current restrictions in order to prevent the spread of the virus, and also adapt our services to create a vibrant, financially and ecologically sustainable community hub in Gorton area where we have this facility, and also for Manchester as a whole. So to do this, I'm currently working with a team of trustees and members from the local community, and some of our own members, the members of the organization. We also have a team of advisors that are helping us, and some of the local councillors have been really supportive to this project, and we have built a small community that is really looking at moving all this forward. So we are now focusing on mobilizing really funds, because we now need to do the work and prepare the place for a better reopening in such a way that when we have like our 50 years plus club and even our youth club activities, so that they can attend the place safely, even though for like our youth, we are now looking at reopening it in October, but we will have to reduce the numbers of the people attending. But at the same time, we need to mobilize more funding in order to adapt really the space so that it can best respond to what we are offering. But we also had to move some of our activities, such as workshops and some of the support we give to our over 50s online, so that at least that support continues, even though some of support we do it on the telephone, because we have also those that are not really good with technology, so we still have to do certain things over the phone. So my experience so far is really a mixture of sacrifices and also the joys of having a place that we can identify with in Manchester. A place where different parts of the community, regardless of their background and abilities, can come together for the well-being of the entire community. A financially secure and sustainable asset that will generate income and also activities to support Gorton residents and also the surrounding. A place where new and emerging communities can also access help, information, and support. A place where people of diverse cultures and background can meet, share, and promote integration, understanding, and tolerance. We are also looking at investing more in our volunteers, and where possible to start at least getting some stuff like the manager who can really help us to run all day-to-day business and also manage the center, because most of us, we are working as volunteers, and we just have a few project managers that are working on the basis of like seasonal workers. So what we really want to see and we hope to see is to build a stronger local community in Gorton and also across Manchester. So this is what I wanted to share with us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Angel, and thank you for, again, sharing the kind of focus and sacrifice and ingenuity and that means that all your productive capacity can create sustainable value in the community. I'm going to move over to Yvonne now, who's going to introduce us now as some of the designers and architects. Yvonne, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, because just because Lord Woolley needs to just say a few words before we go into the architects.
Sure.
bit. Okay, thanks.
Lord Woolley, forgive me once more.
No problem at all. Thank you, David. I remember that you said when you began this conversation that you said that you were slightly intimidated by the gravitas of many on this panel. Let me tell you, I'm intimidated by the gravitas, the prestige, the enormity of the histories that many on this call have related. I mean, when I listen to Billy Ellis, I'm not sure if he's still on it. I mean, I could listen to him all night. I mean, there's a history lesson right there, and Dawn Hill too. We could just listen to them too, and we'd be that much richer for understanding the journey that these giants have took, and we very much humbly follow in their footsteps. I'm here because of Yvonne Field. When Yvonne tells you to jump, you respond, how high? She said to me, Simon, I need you on a project. I need you on a project because we need to make sure that it happens, not just happens, but it happens big. And she told me why, and I agreed. Look, I agreed with her wholeheartedly. I mean, first of all, it's difficult to say no to her, but she's right. And I want every single one of you to know this is our time. This is an historic moment. The 15th of September. The 15th of September, 2020. People will look back on this conversation and say, I'm not so elder, came together to put the roots down for the next generation. Dawn, you know better than me, we call this succession planning. We are handing over to the next generation. And I'm honored to play a small part. I'm honored to be in your company, Dawn and Yvonne and Jackie Dyer. I hope Jackie Dyer is still here. Jackie Dyer, let me tell you, is a force of nature. She loves our community. She loves the sense of justice. And when she's in a room and she starts speaking, everybody stops. Because they have to listen to her. They have to listen to her heart, her sensibility. And I'm sure that there are many others. So, first and foremost, this is our time. This is our institution. We are building roots that will last for a generation. Let me tell you this too. It's non-negotiable. I'm very pleased that Jack Hopkins, the leader, is on this call. I'm very pleased that the MP, Helen Hayes, is on this call. Leaders, white leaders with black leaders. not asking for justice, not asking for a space, not asking Yvonne for a place to call our own, but demanding it. Demanding it. You know, we have seen over the last few months the heartache of both COVID-19, which has had a devastating impact on our communities. What COVID-19 has done is highlighted the deep-seated, rotten, racist institutions that keep delivering inequalities, keep delivering heartache, keep delivering less than we deserve. It's shone a light, it's exposed them, and we cannot ignore it. Whether it's health, whether it's employment, whether it's education, COVID has laid it bare. And we're talking about a little place to call our own. After, you know what annoys me with this, these conversations, not this one, but in public, we talk about the NHS. My mother, like many of your mothers, came from Barbados and gave the best years to the National Health Service after a broken Britain rebuilding itself after the war. And we're still asking for an institution. We're still asking for a place to call our own. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me that 2020, we don't have our place after what we've given? Jack, make it happen. Make it happen, make it happen big, make it happen sustainable. Not just for today, tomorrow, 5 years, but for a generation. That's the very least we deserve. One. Secondly, what do we do with this place? Well, you know, when you have people like Dawn and Jackie and Yvonne and young David, you better, I know you've got broad shoulders. Don't be intimidated anymore. Start owning the leadership space like Solomon has. Own it. It's ours. And with this new space, we can do multifaceted things with it. We can feed the homeless. We can educate our youths. You know, in terms of the education space that this hub could provide, for me, it creates a number of things. One, that we stop those falling off the cliff. You know what happens when they fall off the cliff, when they get excluded? They go into pupil referral units. You might as well, as Diane Abbott says, put a time and date when they go into youth incarceration. 51% of youths in youth incarceration are our youths. This centre will stop that happening. Not only on the downside, on the upside of we bring our youths into these spaces, our place, a place to call our own. And we nurture them to become the leaders of tomorrow, the scientists, the lawyers, the doctors, the MPs. We make sure they go to the best universities. We make sure they take people with them, a place to call our own. And as we go into David, a unknown space, as in this economic downturn, a place to call our own will nurture entrepreneurs, the wealth creators. You know, Solomon said, why are we asking anyone for anything? Just around this Zoom, the creativity is all there. We need the space, we need the support, and I promise you, we will flourish. Yvonne, I know you're stronger than an ox with your spirit, and Jackie and Dawn. But it's not just the three of you. Stephanie, Tara, Angel, Jonathan. It's time to step up to be leaders. It's time to step up. Jonathan, come out of the shadows. No more questioning yourself. Pedro, whether you're a leader. I'm here to tell you you are. I'm here to tell you, you step up right now, own the space, and change our world. Yvonne, the 15th of September, 2020. I'm sweating. I'm not going to lie. I had a glass of wine because, you know, it's a long day. I've been doing Zoom. I've been doing Zoom since 8 this morning. I thought, oh my gosh, another Zoom. And then once I heard Billy Ellis talk, I thought I'm okay. You know, if Billy Ellis we'd probably have some rum, but I had a glass of wine instead and just got excited, got very, very excited. Leave this Zoom, David, 10 feet tall. 10 feet tall, because I promise you, I'll do everything I can. You saw when you started this conversation, you had Lord Woolley. I took it off. I'm Simon Woolley to you. To some other people, I'm Lord Woolley, right? But to you, I'm Simon. I'm your brother, I'm your friend, I'm your activist. Our time. Thank you, Yvonne. Thank you very much for giving me this time. I'm gonna go to my son. We've got to do Macbeth. I've got to teach my son about Macbeth. And you know, I know it's a long time ago, but you know, the story of Macbeth is about ambition, about inflexible masculinity, greed. Does that resonate with certain governments? I'm not even going there, but I want to give him my time too. This has been a lovely, heartwarming conversation. It must happen. I'll do everything I can to make it happen. And I wish you all the very best.
Thank you so much for that. There is nothing I can say except to let those words resound for themselves. I think everybody feels as inspired as I do with all those words, and will continue to be. Yvonne, can I come to you? Is it a good moment to come to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Thank you, Simon. Yeah, I'm just kind of lost for words, but also deeply, deeply, deeply inspired by the challenge that you've thrown down to us, and that, you know, we all collectively must take up. We're moving in now to the last part of this evening's event. And, you know, I'm so delighted that we're able to invite a number of architects who've been shortlisted, actually. They've been shortlisted to ultimately to provide some proposals for the redevelopment of Lloyd Leon Community Centre. However, and I'm sorry, my eye seems to be watering at the moment. I'm not actually crying, so not at this moment, but yeah, they're just burning slightly. And I want to say that what the architects are going to say this evening about their practice has will not prejudice in any way, shape or form the submission that they will make to potentially rebuild Lloyd Leon Community Centre. Okay, I just want to make it clear. But they've all been shortlisted. And you know, one of the things that Ubele has been determined to do in the work that we've been doing around community spaces is to make sure that we try our utmost best to ensure that opportunities to develop, design, contribute to rebuilding these spaces actually go to people and professionals from Black and minority ethnic communities. We've been heavily involved in some of the work around the London plan as it unfolded, both in 2016, 2017 onwards. And we know what's happened across London, and Brixton is just one example of it. And we also know that our professionals who are at the top of their careers are infinitely creative and experienced and skills are not getting those opportunities to actually build and rebuild and redesign spaces in London or across the country, actually. So one of the things that we've made it our mission is to try and open up those opportunities. We're fortunate, we're co-stewards of a 3.5 acre food and community space, food growing and community space in Wood Green. And we've actually made sure that, you know, the architects that are involved in that at least there's 2 architects, and one of them is actually from a minority community, and that in itself has opened up and created a pipeline of other professionals like the project manager and structural engineer being also from Black and minority ethnic communities. And so it's really important that we intervene in systems and open them up and try and transform them through the way that we work, and that we allow those opportunities to be, you know, to be more equitable, because we know it's just not been that case, and it remains not that case in many instances. So I'm going to invite, I'm just going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 architects, although there's going to be 2 sets of architects who are going to sort of present together, and we're inviting them to actually talk about their practice. So some of the work, who they are very briefly, and just about 3 minutes about the kinds of work they've been doing in terms of redesigning and redeveloping spaces, buildings, communities through their practice. We're not asking them to talk about Lloyd Leon Community Centre specifically, because actually that will be part of their submission, but really just for you to get a flavour of the kinds of skills and talents and experiences that we have within the architectural field, and at least 1 architect, if not 2, if they're working together, will actually be the architects that ultimately redesign the space. So I'd really like to first of all call on David Ungumura. Sorry, David. You've been the host, but we're inviting you also because you've been shortlisted to talk a bit about your practice and a bit about the work that you've been doing and who you are as an architect. And I'm aware of time, so I am going to, you know, keep it quite short so to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to share.
Understood. Thank you so much, Elaine. I did have some slides, but I'm not going to share those because I think we don't really have enough time to go through that. One thing I would say is what I want to talk about is not so much our design, but our design process. What I will tell you is that all the other architects on this shortlist as well, we've collaborated with in some way, shape or form. They're all colleagues, they're all fellow travelers, and we are, you know, we're very grateful to have them along, and they're what we talk about when we all talk about the amount of talent that's out there in our profession that isn't given its opportunity as much as it should be, frankly, because as Lord Willie has said, we're not asking for favors because we pay in. You know, our parents pay in. You know, everybody in my family pays council tax. It is unbelievable that the last Black architect that was employed by Lambeth Council was my mentor on Angel Town Estate, Mode 1 on Langport House on Angel Town Estate, and that was 21 years ago in 1999. That was in the last century. It is unbelievable that that is the case in Lambeth. So one of the things we try and do is make sure that we share opportunity and bring it along. And we point out to people how you can collaborate, how you can make opportunity for people, how people see us and create more opportunity for other people. So when I was a student studying architecture on Angel Town Estate, the structural engineer, Albert Taylor from AKT2 now was a principal then. I saw that, I knew that that was possible. And then other people, our client at the time, her son was 10 years old at the time. He is now an architect because he saw me. So that creates opportunity. I wouldn't be here now unless I got the opportunity on Angel Town. And that's what we try with all of my colleagues here, colleague architects, try and share. I think I'll leave it at that now and kind of let somebody else hold the floor.
Thank you, David. Okay, I'd like to invite Jonathan Hagos and Tom Bell, who are directors of Free House, to talk a bit about their practice. Hi everyone, thanks for inviting us. I would like to share some slides if possible, if that's okay. I'm not sure if that's going to cause any hiccups. I'm going to give you a total of 5 minutes, so... Not a problem, I think we can whiz through it really, really quickly. Well, first of all, thanks for the invitation to be here and be part of this conversation. It's really exciting. It's obviously clear that this is going to underpin the values of this really exciting project. We want to talk a little bit about our practice, our journey and our ethos, and how fundamentally we believe in using design to create a sense of place, and that we want to share authorship with our communities and the communities in which we work to create more meaningful architecture. By way of an introduction, I'm Jonathan Hagos. I'm a practice director at Free House. I'm also an RIBA conservation registrant to reflect my experience working in historic contexts, grey listed buildings, and on conservation projects.
Hi, and I'm Tom, John's co-director, and I've got a specialism in environmental design and sustainability, and I'm a Passive House certified designer at the moment. So John and I, we've got a small practice. We set it up in 2012. We've worked together since, I think, oh gosh, 2008, delivering community and civic buildings. And we set our practice up on the simple ethos that places matter, people matter, and every project is unique. And this ethos that informed all of our early work has stayed with us through our journey so far, and it's definitely at the centre of what we do today.
Absolutely. So we'll just talk briefly through how that ethos is represented through our work. So places matter, as Tom said. This is an image of a marble pavilion we built with a local community living in a region surrounded by redundant marble quarries in Portugal, which was a huge employer for local residents. We work with the community and quarry owners to establish ways to safely reinvigorate these remarkable and hidden landscapes, whilst also exploring ways in which to utilise the abundant waste marble that littered the landscape. In a way becoming a beacon of the potential of the community.
And this is a picture from St Michael's Community Centre, which is in Camberwell, which is home to the Eritrean church. And the brief was to establish a long-term strategy for community centre use, one that would set out services and intervention and would improve the convoluted circulation within the building. But moreover, it was about proposing an extension that actually started to expand on the community centre's role within the local and wider community. So we were focused on our school learning facilities and classrooms and educational facilities sitting alongside the church.
As Tom pointed out, for us, every project is unique. We don't have a house style as a practice. This was actually a project we delivered for my mum, who runs a restaurant in Woolwich. Large-scale development had really made it hard for independent retailers to keep on trading. So she decided to turn her delicatessen into an Eritrean restaurant. With an incredibly low budget, we created a group of local volunteers, including friends, families, design students, local tradespeople as well, to strip the cafe back to its original 1930s butcher shop interior, to build all the furniture and to create a new identity for the cafe. It was a huge success and briefly rated the #1 restaurant in London on TripAdvisor, which caused a lot of stress for my mum. Moving on.
Yeah, so we're also very socially and sustainably minded. So we always try and work ethically and sustainably in the practices we employ. And we do that within our outputs as well. So this building was called the Icon Innovation Centre. It was a beacon for sustainable and environmental excellence. At the time it was finished, it was the lowest carbon outputted office building in the country.
You've got 1 minute, 1 minute.
Yeah.
Okay, well, maybe, yeah, Tom, go for it.
So moreover, we also want to create moments of joy. So this is an image from a public fund day we did with Whitchurch Fields, where we were invited by Harrow Council to help forge a common ground between developer and the local community. And in that consultation, we went out and knocked on over 1,000 doors, and results were bringing out all the things and the potential within the community that existed.
I'll just briefly whiz through what we're doing at the moment. We're currently delivering a new educational space for the Clement James Centre in Notting Hill in their Grade 2 listed church context. We're also delivering the new headquarters for the Africa Centre to be the new home of contemporary African culture in London. That's in Southwark. It's a redevelopment of a 1960s office building. And also the Trampery, it's a Grade 2 listed building in Tottenham, working with a social enterprise called the Trampery to deliver community services that will help build entrepreneurship and creativity to underrepresented groups in this area.
Can I stop you there?
That was it. Thank you.
That was it.
Thank you. Okay, fine, good. Okay.
Thank you.
Actually, the Trampery is where Ubele actually had its first offices before it was called the Trampery. It's called 639 Centre.
Yes,
exactly. Fantastic.
With a hot desk. Okay, thank you. I'm really aware of time, and I wonder, can I take a liberty of asking if we could run over by 10 minutes? Is that possible? Because I really do want us to hear from the other architects that are here this evening, who've been with us all evening, waiting patiently, and obviously put together, some really interesting proposals and propositions. So can we do, is that possible, David?
Yeah, it's fine by me if I have anything to do.
Okay, so 20 to 9, we're going to finish rather than 8:30. Okay, I'd like to invite Pedro Gil, who's the founder architect of Studio Gil, to talk about his practice. Thank you.
Thank you. I've also got some slides. I don't know. Share screen. It should let me, right?
Should let you. If not, then yeah. Okay, fine.
Can you all see that?
We're beginning to. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
So before my 5 minutes starts, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you to all the incredible panelists. It's a hugely inspiring evening and talk. Thank you all for sharing. Thank you to Yvonne Field. Thank you to Ubele for creating the space for arranging such a wonderful event. Okay, that's my acknowledgements out of the way. So, Studio Gill, 5 minutes. I'm timing myself. Go.
Good. Great.
So we are a practice that's been running for 12 years, and I'm going to show 12 projects. As my ethnicity and my tie to Brixton and Lambeth are, I'm a Black mixed Latin American heritage. I was born in Colombia, raised in London, educated in the UK, and Brixton is one of the key places that as a young man my family would frequent. So the two hubs that we would often go to would be Dalston because of the market, and Brixton initially because of the market, but latterly because we were welcomed and accepted there and we were acknowledged there. My family's Black Latin American ethnicity was openly acknowledged, encouraged in fact, and for me that's one of the most interesting things about Brixton, that it's proudly Black, and a Black-led community space is international. So the first project is a commission in 2008 for a house in Colombia, Latin America. So one of the things that I've tried to do in the practice is to build up an international portfolio. These home territories that we're all coming from, they're wonderful, rich sources of inspiration. And the way my practice works, the drawings and the models are crucial to our design process. Craft is important to us. We often undertake a lot of research and development projects. This is a child's toy box that we manufactured ourselves. Play and engagement is something that's really important to us in our work and in the way we construct our narratives and our drawings. Like a lot of emerging up and coming young architects, we've been through the housing residential scheme. This was a project we delivered in Mile End, and it was shortlisted for an RIBA award a few years ago. But the process and the modeling and the craft is something that is really interesting to us. So in terms of the practice's existence, halfway through, about year 5, I decided to make a switch and to really use our skill set as communicators, as translators, as facilitators for working with communities and underrepresented groups. And I started with my own ethnicity, Latin Americans in Elephant and Castle. And this is the redevelopment of one of the main hubs, Distrandina, which is an informal social hub. And we were able to gain planning consent and transform the space. So the craft of making is also really important to us in our projects. And staying on the theme of Elephant and Castle, by a complete chance encounter, I had the privilege of working with the Carnaval del Pueblo, who are organizers of large inclusive Latin American festivals. And by applying our skill set, we were able to design infrastructure for them. We were able to facilitate planning consent and be a real active part of a 10,000 strong attended event over a series of days. At its peak, Carnaval del Pueblo was the largest Latin American festival outside of Rio de Janeiro. And this all takes place in London and South London. I'm also an academic, so I teach at the Bartlett School of Architecture. I'm a senior teaching fellow at UCL. And I try to blur as much as I can the boundaries between practice and academia. These are some student projects that we've delivered in East Street, South London.
1 more minute.
1 more minute. So our profile has been slowly been raising, and our commitment to working with social briefs has given way to public run projects. This is something we were commissioned by Southwark and Lend-Lease in the Elephant and Castle, portable display space. This is a regeneration of 3 empty vacant shops in collaboration with RIBA, with Peabody, with Southwark, and we delivered that for with the GLA. And then just to briefly end on where we are and where we're going, we're developing multi-generation housing schemes. This is something we're trying to get off the ground in East London. We're working in outer London boroughs to develop schemes for multi-generation housing. And the last thing that I want to show is a project that we're working in collaboration with Practice Architecture. We are designing a £1.9 million scheme that is community-led, that is socially inclusive, and we've been able to open up networks to practices we preach by effectively commissioning from a wide pool of talent. The whole suite of consultants is BAME led. And watch this space. This is another GLA funded project. And thank you. I'm going to leave it there.
Pedro, thank you so much. Wow. I am just completely in awe of, the presentation so far. I'm just like, yeah, I'm deeply, deeply excited about, just what I've seen in terms of the experience, skills, talent, ideas, creativity that's been presented so far. I would like to invite Stephanie Edwards and Tara, is it Bolade, to present together, is that correct?
Stephanie will go before me, but yes, thank you very much. And it is Bolade, you got that right.
Absolutely, okay, fine. So, I mean, it's, we don't hear much about female architects, I'm sorry to say, so this is just so exciting. So, yeah, you've got 5 minutes.
Brilliant. So I will start. I just also want to say a massive thank you for inviting me today to present. It's been an absolutely fantastic discussion and I'm very privileged to be here and also very privileged to be collaborating with Tara from Bolade Studio. So I will quickly share my screen and I'll whiz through and then pass it over to Tara. Sorry, can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, hello. So my name's Stephanie Edwards. I'm an architect, I'm a master planner, and I'm a co-founder of Urban Symbiotics. And so we're a master planning and architecture practice that are really focused on insight-based placemaking and design. And so this is why I think it's such a fantastic opportunity just to hear the great work that you're doing at Ubele, but also just to hear all of the users of spaces and the real activists and how you really create places. So I'm going to talk to you briefly about our approach and 3 key projects. So essentially, our approach is really not to look at just design with a small amount of engagement, with minimal insight, but really looking at how do you maximize and involving people in the process to gain great insight, to create really innovative, exciting and sustainable places. So here you can see how we almost have equal measure of engagement and design, and speaking and involving people is just as important as the final solutions. So instead of just involving people right at the end and engaging once we've designed a process, it's just really important for us to ensure that people are really brought along, so that by the end, you just have people that are championing spaces and people that are really advocating for a really sustainable, both culturally and socially and economically. So I wanted to talk about the fact that this doesn't always happen, and it's usually just a few main people that are generally focused on creating these areas, but actually what we're trying to do is really level that playing field. And we've seen in our public spaces when things don't work, where you do have inappropriate statues presiding over spaces that are meant to be inclusive. So our process is about engaging and participating, going on to then insight and design, and then looking at validating and implementation, which is essentially celebrating a great process. So we do that through demographic profiling. We ensure that everyone is involved. So with a cultural centre that's important to the users, we'll find all of the users that need to be involved. We'll do that through actual profiling. So we do that with our regeneration frameworks. But also we need to make sure that it's meaningful. So we like to build capacity to participate, to ensure that you have people that can understand and participate in a way that can be usable, using the appropriate format. Sometimes it's digital, sometimes about really engaging and being active, but also for appropriate communication. At the Black Cultural Archives, we spoke to people and offered coffee to really engage in people that were coming into the spaces, but also managing expectations. A lot of community centres and places have limited budgets, so how can we be super informative and innovative with sometimes low budgets, and how can that work to the best way? So insight and design, we go into regeneration. So this is Croydon actually, where we spoke to the community about what's working for your space and what isn't. We didn't wait for people to come to us, we went to them, like what areas are safe, what areas aren't inclusive for younger people or different ethnic minorities. We go to schools to look at co-solving and participating, but also validating and implementation with people on the ground. And then looking at a legacy, how can people continue working? So I'd like to just talk to you about some of the work we're doing with the Black Cultural Archives. We were appointed at the end of last year to talk about, to actually work with the Black Cultural Archives to reimagine this platform for an evolving vision. We know that this is the home of Black British history, and it's so important. It's not just the building, but how it's used. Daniel spoke about places being open and inviting, and it was just really important that we ensured we did so. So, as you know, Black Cultural Archives is in a pivotal point in Brixton, point and location. We look to use experience analysis, but we also look to the current situation. What areas are actually making money? What are the places on offer? What's being used? So we spoke to the staff, we spoke to the people that were actually coming into the archives, but also those people that weren't. You know, the fact that it was tucked away, that they thought the archives, and that most people think it's a museum, and actually the fact that the archives weren't on display. How can people be immersed in Black British history? You should not go into the Black British or the Black Cultural Archives and leave the same. So we also had over hundreds of people across, you know, the UK in terms of Black British sports people, researchers, young people, understanding what they found worked for the Black Cultural Archives. So listed build, I'm almost finished.
You've literally got 30 seconds.
Okay, so this just highlights the type of opportunities, really trying to break down barriers. A listed building to some people, and some people in the Black community, is something that actually is a barrier. A barrier is also the gates. So how do we start to open that, make it more inclusive? How do we start to invite people into the space? We, as designers, really have great opportunities to do that. So moving on to the interior, how can we look at an experience? How can we bring archives into the space? But also looking at actually having this place as an active area for invitation, for landscape, for conversation. And then finally, we're making it COVID ready. So starting to test some of these aspects in the ground by creating a garden that is welcoming, a place that people can actually reside, breaking down the barriers, putting tropical aspects in, looking at their wayfinding, putting the entrance to the opening rather than the interior of the building. And I have a lot more slides, but I'm going to leave it there.
Thank you so much, Stephanie.
Just to end, I'm going to pass it on to Tara, who we collaborated on a number of projects.
Tara, can you just, where are you? Sorry, okay. 30 seconds, I'm really sorry, please.
Oh, wow. I had a whole presentation, so I can be very incredibly quick through it. Hopefully you can see my screen, and I'll be very, very quick.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were doing a double act.
No.
Okay, sorry, then I got that wrong. Then please, you must have your 5 minutes literally, and then we're going to just wrap up. But right. Sorry, I somehow got that information wrong. Sorry, I didn't mean to. Can't say 30 seconds when everyone else had 5 minutes. Okay.
That's okay, no problem at all. Thank you so much. We're Baladay Design Studio, and I'm Tara, I'm a co-founder of Baladay Design Studio. We're an award-winning practice based in London, in Southwark, just around the corner, and we make everyday places for people extraordinary. We'll talk through our process, and that is steeped in and built in the GDS practice ethos, which is about being community responsive, design-led, sustainability focused, innovative, commercially minded, and collaborative. I won't expand too much more on the community responsive section today, because my colleague Stephanie, who we'll be collaborating with, has already. However, just to highlight that we really are quite passionate about understanding the history and the cultural nuances of any projects that we engage with and any clients we engage with. We respect the fact that local demographic is what should drive design, and we strongly believe that co-design, therefore, is an integrated part of the design process. We believe in building long-term relationships, not just for the process, the period of a project, but we often end up with our clients as friends, even though we've usually just met. And we strongly agree and believe in the concept of legacy. It's not just about a project for today, but very much more what we're looking at in the next 50 years, the next 100 years. On the left are images of some stakeholder engagement we did for Gen Z students for a housing association in Cambridge. And what came out of the site constraints and analysis was very much an understanding that all the students were international students and came from different parts of the world, but felt excluded when they came to meet each other. And that was mainly because they didn't have an amenity, only their rooms to stay in. And so what we looked here was to understand really the challenges they faced and how to ensure that the existing central green that they had in quite a traditionally built up environment could be reworked. What we developed as a result was a student pavilion, which looked at gathering and connecting and integrating these students. The purpose and the real ambition of this really looked therefore at a flexibility of space, with spaces internally that can be expanded to become a canteen, or closed up to become cafe or yoga spaces, but critically it's student-led and community curated. We passionately believe about embedding sustainability in every scheme that we develop, and that looks at environmental, social, and economic sustainability. So certainly we very much look at a fabric first approach, ensuring that buildings are upgraded sensitively, especially of course when they're listed, and ensuring that long-term they have low running costs and that post-occupancy evaluation is undertaken so we understand that the buildings are being used and the spaces are being used exactly as they've been designed to, and changed if not. Social sustainability really looks at embedding health and well-being in every development. So looking at how we address isolation, how community can accommodate sustainable travel options. So how we encourage more walking and cycling, and incorporating mainly corporate garden spaces, community spaces. And finally, economic sustainability looks not just at the maintenance of the building, it looks at not just the maintenance of the building in terms of low running costs, but very much expanding the program to generate financing, and we work with our clients to explore that. Image on the left looks at a project I'm working on, which is the Harlem Goods and Gardens House Sustainability Guidance.
One more minute.
This very much looks at embedding the rich culture, art culture of Harlem, and ensuring that the community feel very much part of the process. We're passionate about innovative design, and we've created an app in the past. We strongly believe in co-creation and ensuring we can use innovative ways to enrich the programs that come out of projects. So it's not just a physical building at the end, but could there be a digital aspect to it? Finally, in collaboration, in this project, we're really looking to potentially collaborate with some experts, including, of course, Stephanie, you heard from Urban Symbiotics, who has an expertise in insight-led design, Elsie Owusu Architects, who has an expertise in conservation and historic buildings, Green Tea Architects, experts in community development, and Johanna Fenning, who's an expert on Brixton and did her final year project. She's a student specifically on Brixton. Some of you in the audience will recognize yourselves in this picture. And very finally, like John, keep on keeping on. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Tara. I'm really sorry, because when I did the calculation of the 20 to 9, I actually thought you were doing a joint presentation. So thank you for bearing with me. I didn't mean to sort of kind of try and push you out of the, the presentation piece. So my mistake. Wow. Whoa. I just feel completely overwhelmed, but incredibly excited, overly excited by what I've been hearing this evening from all of the architects. So I just want to thank you for taking the time to prepare and to present the concepts of your work. And we just look forward to receiving your proposals for the Lloyd Leon Community Centre. So I'd like to just hand back over to David just to wrap up really. David, I'm also aware that certainly one of our closest colleagues, Tony Seeley's been asking us just to mention the 81 acts, which is an enactment of 81 creative acts and enactment of what happened in 1981, which the centre came out as a result of the 1981 uprising. So Tony, we'll make sure that we send out the email address and the website for that really exciting initiative that's going to happen in Brixton next year. And I just want to do a shout out to a colleague of mine who's here from Bradford University. I went to Bradford University in 1989 and we've not seen each other since then. So Natalie Pinnock, hi there. Thank you for joining us. It's amazing that we're still both involved in communities after all this time. Over to you, David.
Thank you. I mean, I'm not even sure I can match all of that, but you know what, Yvonne, in fact, I want to take a bit of time to thank you for pulling this together yourself and being there. You know, it's really interesting that Simon Woolley was discussing earlier on about all of us standing up, and everyone knows you, Yvonne, and everyone sees you, and we really appreciate you, and we appreciate all of the effort you've put into this, and frankly, give me a bigger experience than I could have expected being part of this. I think you know, everyone must feel the same. I think, thank you for putting us all in the same room. Thank you for giving us all inspiration. Thank you for allowing us to see, you know, people who are where we want to be and doing things that we want to be doing. You know, and you know, anyway, I'm going to try not to get emotional. I'm going to keep in control, and Dawn has told me to be professional, so I'm going to do that. The things that I've taken away from this, and I hope others have as well, is what all of this could mean for the Lloyd Leon Community Centre. And I think what I've noticed about this is what all of this represents, what the Lloyd Leon Community Centre represents, the need that's there in the community, and that's always there, the capacity that's always there in the community. We often go around and we say these things to people because we know, all of us know instinctively that it's out there, and lots of you know, in detail that it's out there, and you're trying to kind of get people to bring people along and get politicians and gatekeepers and people with the purse strings to actually believe in these things that we know are possible. And it's like an uphill battle, just almost demonstrating to them that there's all this energy out there in the first place. So that's one of the things I've taken away from this. The models for how this can work, which is essential. I mean, how we make these things sustainable, how we make them last, how we make them long lasting and continue to produce. What the Lloyd Leon Centre does now and how it literally changes people's lives and affects people's lives as we speak. I wasn't out there like Solomon feeding people during the lockdown. I was locked at home. He was out there on the front line feeding people that were hungry. I mean, that's just, I don't really know what else to say about some of those kind of impacts that those real impacts that those have. I hope all of this is informed for all of us what the future of the centre might be. If anyone has any other questions or points to make about this, I'm sure all my other designer colleagues would be delighted to hear more from you. You can get in touch with each of us individually by email or through Yvonne. But certainly kind of what all of this represents isn't just about a place. In a sense, the Lloyd Leon Centre is both a place, it's a physical place, but it's also an idea. It's an asset. It's a kind of community wealth. It's something that represents a reference point for all of us, for new generations coming up, for people that we can point to. It's a supply chain. This is what community wealth is about. This is what community asset building is about. And we, like all of our colleagues, I hope I'm not garbling this too much, I'm pretty sure we'll be delighted to contribute to that in whatever way that we can. Thank you again for inviting us. I'm going to leave it there and let everybody get some sleep.
Thank you, David. Thank you for hosting us so well. And yeah, just thanks to everyone. And thanks to the team. Thanks to the Ubele team. I'm really blessed. I've got an amazing group of people that work with me. And thank you for hosting this conversation this evening. And thank you to all the panelists and the architects, of course, and everybody else who presented.
Absolutely. I'm going to stick to building buildings in future rather than hosting. I feel like it's easier.
Thank you and have a great evening. Good night.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
very
Bye,
much.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks. Lovely.